Hey, what's going on, guys? Paul, I am back. I apologize. I ended up missing several days here over the past week or so, give or take. But listen, guys, I am back, and I'm just going to be straight up with you. These daily vlogs definitely fell down the priority list. Like the things that I've had to come up and deal with in business and personally over the past week or 10 days or so, this just kind of fell straight to the bottom. So I didn't do it. I didn't prioritize it. It wasn't in my wheelhouse during this time, and so we're gonna talk about that. I want to talk about the psychology of your success, and this is exactly what I have dealt with the past several days in business, in fitness, in my relationships, and all across the board. And personally, there were several nights where I was working into the night, 12, 1 a.m., getting up early, doing it again, having to pivot and put out fires and go from one thing to another. And honestly, guys, like it's still continued today. But I want to talk about this concept where, the psychology is going to determine your success. And I have battled with this not only my entire life, but I've also particularly battled this during the past 7 to 10 days. Had a lot of things, a lot of stressful things come up in business, and so when that happens, you either are going to make the choice to fix and solve the problem as best you can and keep moving forward. And that's kind of what I did. That's what I had to do. I had to take my time, my energy, my money, and I had to put it in a place to focus on the solution that I was seeking in my business. And so, several frustrating things happening. People not doing what they should be doing, people that I've hired to do things not doing what they should be doing, all kinds of stuff that comes with eating glass as a business owner. So if you run a business, you know what I'm saying. And you might be asking like, Paul, will you preach, no matter this, yeah. But there's going to be times where you're not going to be able to do the things that you're going to do. And I'm not just saying that because I had to go through this situation. And my point is this. There's going to be situations where, I had to work 20 plus hours to do what I needed to get done. And did I work out? Nope. Did I follow my meal plan? Nope. Was my psychology correct? Nope. And that's what I want to talk about. And this is something that for the past year has been continuing to come up in my life. And I know it's coming up in yours in some shape or form. And the psychology of having something just go to shit, right? It could be, something in your business. It could be something at your job. It could be your fitness. It could be your relationships. And it's all about, who are you when that happens? Like, how do you show up when that happens? And I failed, guys. I fucking failed. Like, there were so many different fires that I had to put out. And I was even having a conversation with one of my guys that's a coach with me about this. I was like, what pisses me off the most is that this situation took me off my path. That this situation allowed my psychology around the situation to be affected. And when you look at people that are successful, oftentimes those people, it doesn't mean that they don't have feelings about a shitty situation. It doesn't mean that they, feel one way or the other, but they don't allow their psychology to change around the fire. And there were several instances where that was the case for me. Like, I allowed it to affect me in a way where my psychology changed. And that got me thinking that, when you are focused on being successful, we always use fitness. I always use fitness because, it's always been hard for me. Like, it's always been hard for me to stay on a plan, work out every day, walk every night, It's been difficult. I'm not going to lie. It's not easy. And you hear it online all the time. Well, anything worth it's not easy. Yes, I agree with that. But the psychology is going to determine your success. And I had a situation today, literally less than 2 hours ago, where I hired somebody to do a job, and after a week of not hearing back, I finally, checked in on him and said, hey, I need an answer. I hired you to do X and I have not heard. I need an answer. And basically it ended the, relationship, the business relationship. It just ended like 2 hours ago. And although it's frustrating, and although the situation that I'm in now, that I have to, put out this fire and figure out the next path forward, it hasn't affected my psychology, because I've had the past week of that affecting my psychology, right? And so this is my way of ensuring that I move forward to get what I want. And all too often, guys, we fall into this trap where our psychology is not right. Our psychology to get the thing that we want to get, to do the thing that we want to do, to achieve the level that we want to achieve, the psychology is not there. And that's why when we talk about fitness, you know how many fucking times I don't want to go to the gym? You know how many fucking times I don't want to go, for a 3-mile walk for 45 minutes, at the end of the night? A lot. More times than not. But it's the psychology of like, hey, I just need to go get this done. One foot in front of the other. Hey, I just need to put myself in the gym, start going through the motions, and eventually my mind's going to catch up. Eventually my mind's going to show up and say, hey, get this done. Do it the best you can right now, and you will win. So I would have you consider learning off my fucking failures. Where's your psychology not right? Because if psychology determines success and you want to be successful, where do you need to step up in the psychology of whatever that is? And we can go back to nutrition or food or health. The psychology is not there most of the time. Running a wellness center, we see people come in sometimes that the psychology is not there because they don't want to do the hard work. It's not that they can't do it, they can do it. But they don't have the right psychology to see it through. So guys, where are you struggling right now? Where's your psychology weak? Where's that mental fortitude that you got to build to see it through to the end? To do what you say you got to do. To show up in a way that you want to show up. And that brings me back to, something I talk about all the time is the fucking dad bod. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. There are men out there that have full-on B cups. We just traveled to Florida for business, which is another big piece. Intense 4-day, advisory meeting, connecting with other business owners. Was there a little pleasure? Sure. But we were at the pool, and you just look around. You look around at all these guys, big ass beer bellies. I mean, looks like a 30-pound watermelon on some of these guys. They got man boobs, man. B-cup man boobs. And I literally, I turned to my wife and I said, I can't imagine not only how that would feel on my body, but the mental mind games that would play for me to be that overweight, to be that lazy. Those are the things that I'm thinking about. I don't know if you guys think about this, but that is exactly what I'm thinking about. Especially when I people watch. And I'm not saying this to belittle or demean anybody. What I'm saying is you have to work on your mental fortitude if you want to succeed. how are you going to build this muscle in order to achieve this success when shit gets hard like it just did for me? Because I had some wins and I had some massive failures. But hey, here I am, back in town, back on the horse, doing the thing that I told myself I would do. And that's the cycle that, at certain times comes up for me. Is I'm really good for a certain amount of time, and then my psychology gets all wonky and I fall off, and then I get back up on the horse. I just need to stay consistent in my psychology and not let these things affect me the way they did. I need to keep moving forward and building my mental fortitude so that I can show up differently, so that these things don't sway me. And that's the thing, man. Like, some of us let 2 days turn into 2 weeks, and 2 weeks to 2 months, and 2 months into 2 years, and 2 years into 10 years. And then you're going, shit, where did I get off track? It's because you kept letting the slide happen. Gentlemen, you got to stop the slide, and you got to show up and fucking dominate daily. That's what I tell you guys, and that's what I did not do this past week on multiple accounts. But here I am accepting the truth that I just flat out didn't do it. I didn't prioritize it. No matter if I was working 20 hours in a day, I just did not prioritize what I wanted and said I would do. And that, to me, is more frustrating than it is to not, or to keep doing the slide. Like, to me, when I show up when myself shows up to be mediocre in some area, it fucking pisses me off. And it should piss you off too. That's the mentality you gotta have. You gotta show up and be like, this is not fucking happening again. This cannot be like this. So, where's it changed for me? It's changed in a lot of areas, right? I've let a week or so go by. I'm back. I started working out a couple days ago, all that stuff. I'm going to start my walks tonight, all that. Like, I'm back. I'm not letting this slide continue. And that's where I've seen the shift in my psychology. And, I'm quicker to, reflect and get back to where I was. And so, guys, if you want to win, you can't let your emotions get in the way. You cannot let it happen. And we are so fucking emotional, especially with the food we eat, the things we drink, the things we see on our phones, all that stuff. We are so emotional. And we let these emotional decisions dictate our discipline or lack thereof in our life. And the sooner you start realizing that the only way to win is to make sure that this is stronger than this. Because your mind is always listening. It's always keeping score. And it's always going to want to push you to where comfort's at, to where mediocrity is at. And too often we let our hearts get in the way of like, yeah, you know what? I just don't want to do this right now, so I'm not going to. We let ourselves off the freaking hook way too many times. We quit before it gets good. We don't put in the work because it's hard and it's difficult. So if you guys want to dominate, change your psychology. In order for you to be successful, you must do this thing. So until then, guys, I will see you back here tomorrow. Dominate daily.